The views and opinions expressed in the Golden Boot podcast are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of the Golden Boot podcast as a whole.
Y'all ready to get rolling? Quiet on the set. Hey, welcome back. Another hot episode of HBCU. Always your boy Pooh Bear. I got my man Aunt Petty Murphy in the building. What's good with you, my boy?
What up with it, man?
Man, it's homecoming week for the high school.
Ooh, have fun with that.
I'm not. It's supposed to rain. I don't think I'll be there.
Yeah, that's tough.
I don't think I'll be there. Yeah, man, it's been one of them days. But looking forward to the conversation for tonight, man. Definitely appreciate everybody who's tuning in. Like I always say, thank you for watching. You can be anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. We appreciate that. Do us a favor. Don't forget, subscribe, like, and share. Share it to your therapist, to your baby mama, to your preacher. Don't say it. I don't know, because we got a preacher that watched the show. He be telling me about some of the stuff I be saying, and I don't. Might have to block him. No, I'm just playing. But nah, man. Please do us a favor. Share. We're gonna definitely get into this, man. Talk about this. These games this weekend. Talk about some of these coaches, man, who stepped up and had an amazing start to the season. And we got to talk about some impacts of Hurricane Helene, man. It's coming out, messing stuff up for everybody. So
not everybody.
Well,
Thank
most.
the Lord that we
most.
got
Yeah, you're right.
this time.
You're absolutely right about that. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started. But first, y'all know what we gotta do. We gotta give a shout out to our sponsor over at BetOnline. BetOnline.ag. We'll be back in 1 minute. BetOnline.ag is your number one source for all your sports information, stats, news, and scores. Get the latest odds, lines, and player injury reports for this year's NBA and NHL playoffs. BetOnline is always your sports information headquarters. This season, we have you covered for all your sports wagering needs. We have everything from NBA, NFL, MLB, and NHL to golf, tennis, UFC, and boxing. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to get your betting info, including live betting options and your favorite casino and card games that you can play right from your home. Head on over to betonline.ag today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Be sure to use the promo code BLEAV to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, we are back. But yeah, as alluded to, Hurricane Helene. It's already caused a little havoc in the HBCU world. They Helene has forced the rescheduling of 2 games that I know so far. One being Alabama A&M versus FAMU. That game has been rescheduled for November 29th. It's a long way off. A long way off.
Teams could be in a totally different situation from where they are right now.
Yeah. One team could be, all of a sudden get hot. One team can all of a sudden get cold.
Injuries, you got a lot of things that could play a factor.
Yeah, big time. The other game, it was Edward Waters and I can't think of who it was. God dang it. Edward Waters. I'm trying to find it. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can scroll through these messages and find it. Oh God.
I got Zach say sadly A&M had to reschedule their U-Haul pickup. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Zach. Zach. that is that is cold. But Edward Waters, golly, who was Edward Waters supposed to play? Because that one actually, that actually got rescheduled for Sunday. They're going to play that one Sunday. Hold on, let me see, because they should tell me real quick.
They got Tuskegee.
There we go. Is that Sunday? Why was I thinking?
Yeah, they rescheduled it. They rescheduled it for the 29th.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Well, that's what Edward Waters has it on their website. It has the game.
No, that is correct. That one is, but for some reason I was thinking that they were playing somebody else. I know they just played Benedict, so I was thinking Edward Waters was playing somebody else for some reason. But yeah, Tuskegee. And of course we know that game was that rematch is kind of anticipated because that was the classic Hail Mary game from last year. Our good man Jamie Walker, Albie Score was on the call for that one. So yeah, but I do think the weather, regardless of if the games are rescheduled, I think it's going to play a huge factor this weekend for a lot of teams across the especially the Southeast.
Yeah, but just the rain and everything, that's gonna be a lot.
Exactly, definitely. Wet ball drills. Even in Little League, we practiced wet ball drills on Tuesday. It was kind of drizzling and stuff, and we roll around, let the kids kind of try to get used to it. So that changes the course of how you even pause, man. Come on, Diddy. No Diddy. But oh, I see what you yeah. That dude Adrian, boy, he is.
That boy ain't got no chill, man. That boy stay
at
on.
all.
Man. Yeah. But yeah, man. Like you say, just the weather. It could affect some attendance, which could affect some of the home field advantages some of these teams have. I mean, it's gonna be a lot different this weekend than most Saturdays during football season. So that's just where coaching comes into play, man. You got to have your team prepared for all conditions, and whether that be weather or whatever the case may be. So whichever coach has their team most prepared for the circumstances of the game is going to be the one victorious.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and look at one of the games. First games that I think is really going to be impacted. Alabama State at Bethune-Cookman.
Yeah.
I don't know how much. I mean, they're going to get some rain. I don't know how much. But I do want to, take a look at these two squads. I do want to say this. I'm, shameless plug. The stats and stuff that we look at tonight and that we bring up are being brought to you courtesy of the schools, but you can find them if you go to thegoldenboot.com/stats. You can get all these stats for each individual team. But man, Alabama State comes into the game averaging 18.3 points per game. They're giving up 15.3 points per game,
which is 8th in FCS, by the way, on scoring defense.
Yeah. Crazy part about this, they're doing this without their number 1 and number 2 quarterback. Praying for Andrew Body. He posted on Twitter earlier that he did have successful surgery. He's going through kind of post-op now. On the ground, Alabama State is averaging 165.7 yards per game. Through the air, I don't think anybody's going to be surprised about this. They're averaging 94.0 yards through the air. On defense, they're giving up 105.7 yards on the ground and 164 yards in the air. So That's what they're pretty much. I mean, total offense versus total defense. They're giving up 10 yards a game, but they're winning
Yeah, I
by 3
mean,
at the moment.
they when you look at their defense, Alabama State, they 8th in total defense in FCS, giving up around 270 yards per game. So you talk about the rain and the type of game it's gonna probably be this weekend. That bodes to a defensive type slugfest of a game,
Mm-hmm.
which bodes well for Alabama State. Like you mentioned, not really doing well through the air passing. In those type of games, you really not gonna do a lot of through the air anyway. So it suits what they do best anyway, which is running the football and stopping the run on the other side, and kind of playing that stifling defense that we've seen from them over the years. So, I mean, I think that if you Alabama State, you got to be going into this game saying you don't really mind if it is kind of sloppy conditions, because that's probably what you want to play in anyway.
Yeah. Ironically, last year Alabama State was able to score the most I think the most points they scored. No, it was not. I take that back. I was about to say against Bethune-Cookman, but it wasn't. It was Tuskegee. But they did have a good showing against Bethune-Cookman, and it bodes well for them again this year. Coming into the game right now, Bethune-Cookman averages 18.3 points per game. They're allowing 44 points per game. That is a little skewed though, because they have played USF and also Western Michigan. So they've got 2 FBS games on here where they gave up in just those 2 games 48 points and 59 points. Against Mercer.
Points, man.
Yeah, that is a lot. Against Mercer, they gave up 31. And Clark Atlanta, they gave up 38. So that still isn't good by any stretch of the imagination. But
by any means. I mean, they 118th out of 123 teams in FCS when it comes to scoring defense. I mean, that ain't where you really want to be, man.
Yeah.
But like you mentioned, though, the level of competition does play a large factor in it.
Yeah. Bethune hasn't been able to get anything going on the ground. They're only averaging 77.8 yards per game. They're giving up 228 yards, 228.5 yards per game. So I think this actually plays into both teams' hands. As we mentioned, Alabama State isn't passing the ball much.
Yeah.
So they're going to want to run the ball. Passing wise, Bethune isn't much better. They're 189. I'm sorry, they're averaging 189.3, giving up 275. But with the weather being what it is, this weekend, I think we're going to see a lot of ground and pound, and that's why I think this one stands.
Yeah, Ron in the comments said he got Bethune 21-17.
Okay, he said,
I can see it.
I can't. I get it. If you had said at the beginning of the season, I probably would have. I would have disagreed, but I can see it. Right now, I can't. I can't do that. I like Bethune. I picked Bethune to win a lot of sneaky games. I just don't think this is it right now. I don't know what's going. Quarterback has looked well. He's done well. Level of competition they've played, but Clark Atlanta, that
was a tough loss.
I can't. Yeah. I'm not counting them out by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, I mean, but to his point though, coming off of a loss like that, you're gonna come in that game ready to get that taste out your mouth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
and like he said, they are hungry to get back. I agree.
Yeah. So I think they come out on fire. You know what I mean? With playing with a lot of intensity, a lot of energy. Because like you mentioned, they hungry to get back on that field. But at the same time, I don't know if this is the matchup that bodes well for them, considering the weather. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Going up against a team that's so good against the run, and in these conditions, I just don't know if that's the type of team you want to play whenever you're gonna have to probably run the ball a lot.
Yeah. I do, and I agree with him here. He said each one of the teams that they faced had a quarterback. And
That's
I
fair.
agree with him there. I agree with him there. So I do think they have a fighter's chance. They have a puncher chance. I just right now I can't see it. I'm not out completely against Bethune-Cookman, but just this week, I'm just not. Yeah, I'm just not feeling that one. But that is that game. I was looking through to try and see what some of the rest. I think some of these they'll get weather, but it's not anything to so significance. But next game I do find kind of interesting that's on the schedule. North Carolina Central taking on Norfolk State. Central comes into this game. They're scoring 31.5 per game, giving up 33.5. I think that's also skewed because of who they've played. They just played North Carolina, Chapel Hill. And also Elon. Elon put up 41, and then North Carolina, Chapel Hill put 45. So that Chapel Hill kind of skewed it. If they play anybody else in FCS, I don't think they're going to put that many points up.
That 21 and that 31 and a half that they score per game is 22nd in FCS. So, even with the level of competition they played going up against the Tar Heels, they still were able to put some points on the board, and they can score points no matter who they're going up against. But like you mentioned, I think their defense is a little better than the number that's beside it right now.
You're right. Averaging on the ground 135 yards per game, giving up 215.8, passing 190.7. Well, I'm sorry, 190.8. Only giving up 179. One thing I do think is bodes well for them or sticks out for me, Walker Harris. He hadn't necessarily played in all these games to help put up, those passing numbers. And he showed up last week and had a phenomenal game against North Carolina A&T. So I think it looks good for North Carolina Central moving forward, especially this week against Norfolk State, who, well, let me just give you the numbers. Norfolk State is averaging 18.6 points per game, giving up 27.2. They're only rushing for 140 on the ground. 140.2, giving up 138.8. Throwing for 149.2 and giving up 234.4. So pretty much anything North Carolina Central wants to do, they're probably going to do it. And knowing the person that Trey Oliver is, I expect the points. I expect the points to be on the board.
Yeah, you can probably you'd probably be good in your guess of that. I think that they're gonna pick a number, and no disrespect, but I think they're on a mission this year.
Yeah, they're trying to get back. I know they feel like they
feel like last year they should have been there.
Yeah.
Man,
excuse me.
This is crazy. They've scored on 100% of their trips to the red zone.
God, how many times are it?
12 red zone attempts, 6
field goals, 6 touchdowns.
6 rushing touchdowns, 4 passing touchdowns, 2 field goals.
Oh wow.
10 touchdowns out of 12 attempts.
Oh, that's enough. Hold on.
But yeah, that's pretty efficient, man. You can't ask for nothing better than that when you get down to the red area to pretty much, that 5 out of 6 times, that you get down there that you're gonna score a touchdown. That's
83%. 83.3. Oh, that boy! Look at that boy! Did that math quick when in his head.
That's
sharp.
Can't beat that, man.
Yeah. Speaking of North Carolina Central just doing what they want, North Carolina A&T saw that last week.
Ooh,
Now
yeah.
this week, now they go and take on South Carolina State. Whew,
feel bad for that offense.
yes, listen, Chennisberry in year one, I've said before, they should realistic. I know they're 1-2. I feel like they should be at least 2-1.
That's fair.
Some of y'all don't know. If you know, you know. North Carolina A&T is averaging 19.3 points per game, giving up 43.3. At least they are getting over 100 yards passing this year. They're averaging 181 yards a game passing, but they're giving up 284.8. They're averaging 153 rushing, giving up 179.3. Third downs, 37.1%, 44.4% on fourth down conversions. They're giving up 48% on third downs and 71% on fourth downs. Yeah, they just. Here's my issue. I know A&T, you know, they pulled the trigger with Coach Brown and everything. I understand, you know, offensively, the inefficiencies they've had. I expected them to be a lot better on defense just because of Coach Brown being a former DC at William and Mary, being a defensive player, you know, in his career. I expected that defense to be a lot better than what we've seen.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. That you talk about the amount of points they give up per game. They're ranked one spot ahead of Bethune. 117th out of 123 schools. Jeez. I mean, that's not a recipe for winning football. And I know you could talk about who they played and all that, but I mean, you played North Carolina Central. Like
you struggle with Winston-Salem.
Yeah. Fair point. I forgot about fair point. So I mean, you can't say it's because you played XYZ money game. You know what I mean? It don't matter who you playing up against. You haven't shown the ability to stop anybody or to keep them out the end zone. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe this is a game where you know they kind of get back on track defensively. But I mean that South Carolina State defense is going to be pretty stout. So I don't know what you going to expect to see from that.
Speaking of that, let's look at South Carolina State. So far this season, like I mentioned, they're 1-3. They play FAMU, Citadel, and Georgia Southern. So as you can imagine, that Georgia Southern game has skewed some of these stats a lot. They played really well against FAMU in week 1. And also against the Citadel, where they actually did get the win there. Points per game, they're averaging 18.3, giving up 28. Again, like I said, they gave up 42 to Georgia Southern, so that definitely
that's half the amount of points they're giving up all year. You know, in one game. So
yeah, exactly. Rushing 161, only giving up 126.3. Passing is 180.7, giving up 220.7. On third down, they're 41%, 100% on fourth down. They've gone for it 3 times, gotten it. Defensively, they're third down, 44.4%. I'm sorry, they're giving up 44.4% on third down and giving up 80%, 4 out of 5 on fourth down. So they will try to hold the ball, averaging 32.4 seconds time possession. So this is a very disciplined team. 64, you know, well, I say that, and then I look at the penalties in there. giving up 64 yards and penalties per game. So,
I mean, that ain't terrible.
it ain't
I mean,
terrible, but it ain't.
I mean, you give up 2 pass interferences and you halfway there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So,
yeah. But man, I like what Coach Berry has been able to do. How he's kept his team competitive. A lot of people didn't think he'll be able to do it in his first year. I know they haven't gotten the conference play, and I'm just looking at what they have ahead. They've got North Carolina A&T, of course, this game that we're talking about. They got Tennessee Tech, which is a very winnable game. They got Fort Valley State. They've got Delaware State. They got North Carolina Central at home. They go to Howard. They go to Morgan State, and then they finish up with Norfolk State. So, realistically, I could see that stretch of Central, Howard, Morgan State is going to be tough. I think they can get. I think I said at the beginning of the season that they win. I think they win 2 out of the 3. I think that was my hot take.
Yeah,
I think one of my hot takes. So, I think that's still, you know what I'm saying, very doable. So, man, they got a chance to really make some noise going down the stretch.
Yeah. I think at the least, I think they could definitely play spoiler for some of them other teams in the MEAC.
Completely agree. Completely agree. And I think you're going to enjoy talking about this next one. State Fair Classic.
Yes, sir.
Prairie View, after failing to put Southern away, now takes on the other half of the Bayou Classic. Grambling in the State Fair Classic this weekend. First, just looking at Prairie View, averaging 17.5 per game, giving up 32.3. They are only rushing for 83.8 yards per game, but they're giving up 162.5. Passing 203.8 yards per game, giving up 204. So they're giving up just as much as they get with passing, but they're getting ran all over. Honestly, it's what this is telling me. Time of possession 29 minutes and 17 seconds is what they average. Third downs, they're 37.7%, 25% on fourth down. They're giving up 37% and on third down and 75% on fourth down. So
I think when it comes to them, man, I just feel like PV hasn't lived quite up to expectations of what they had this season, man. I think we expected more from that defense than what we've seen at times this season. You talk about the Southern game last week. I mean, even in that win versus McNeese, there was some defensive play that
Northwestern State.
I mean, yeah, my bad. Northwestern State, who is not good at all, by the way.
Yeah, they gave up 31 in that game.
Yeah, that's what and Northwestern ain't good. So that game shouldn't have been that close. But at the same time, other than last year, they've had Graham's number in this State Fair Classic.
That is very true.
So I'm still feeling like this is one of them games where it don't matter what the record is. PV got a chance to win this game. Yeah. That I know they got the transfer quarterback in. He may not have been all what they kind of hoped he would be, but he hadn't played.
I thought he got hurt.
Oh, he got hurt.
I think Blue mentioned it. I think he's hurt.
So Conley back in?
I think. Hold on. Who's let me pull. I'm looking at the stats now. It's been not Conley. Conley graduated. It's what's the kid name? Lucas Coley.
Coley. Coley. Yeah. My bad.
Yeah. Coley is so I guess he came in later. But you got Cameron Peters.
Oh, that's okay. I was thinking Coley. I don't know why I said Conley. Well, I know why I said come, but anyway.
Yeah, because when at the quarterback last year. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just feel like Graham, and we're gonna talk about Graham here in a second, but they their defense has been. Oh yeah, that's a very good point. Graham won last year with Hugh Jackson. Enough said. Moving on. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you know what? I do want to say this because Jay White brings up a good point. He says, and I know we're going back. This is backtracking. Alabama A&M versus FAMU, November 29th, Friday, the TLC, the Thanksgiving Leftover Classic. This messes FAMU up because this was FAMU's this spoils if they don't get into the Celebration Bowl, they will not have a postseason because they could have possibly qualified for the LCS playoffs. But yeah,
that's a good point. A good point. But
back to the Graham. My apologies on that.
Yeah. Ron was kind of getting to my point. He said Grambling been getting so many bonus plays. PV could keep turnovers to 1 and 2. They have a chance. That's why I was kind of getting at. Graham leads FCS in takeaways, and turnover margin, but at the same time, they still have been kind of suspect to giving up some yardage in the passing game, and part of that is skewed because they played Texas A&M Commerce, who threw for like 400 yards the week before they played Grambling. So they're gonna air it out, and that's gonna kind of skew your numbers. But at the same time, I feel like there can be plays made against that Grambling defense. But at the same time, if you try too many times against that secondary, it's gonna come back to bite you.
Mm-hmm.
So if PV can pick their spots, I think they can have success against the pass. But like Ron say, if they turn it over too many times, it's ball game. You can't give Grambling the ball back that many times.
Yeah. I don't know if I didn't do Grambling stats.
Nah.
Points per game, 30.8. Giving up 27. And that Louisiana Lafayette, they played first week, so that kind of skews that one a little bit. They're averaging 89.5 on the ground this year, which is surprising. Well, and I understand they lost. Enough. Yeah. I realized they did lose 2 great backs.
Yeah, but you also got two power forward transfers or former power forward player transfers in Bull Hargrove and Trey Bradford.
You're very true. Very true. They're giving up 162.3, throwing 196.3, giving up 267.5. So this does come down to, as you spoke of, the turnovers and the extra possessions that Grambling has been able to get. They are averaging 28.58 as far as time of possession. 28 minutes and 58 seconds. Third downs on offense, they're 30.77% or 30.8%. On defense, they're holding their opponents to 35.9% on third downs and 33.3% on fourth down. So, but like you said, them extra possessions are really what's helping Grambling a lot.
Boy, don't you ever.
Yeah. I was looking ahead.
But they they get almost 3 turnovers a game, bro. That's that's game changing. Each turnover is game changing, but when you give your offense 3 extra possessions, I mean, with a quarterback like Miles Crowley, even though he might not,
I was just gonna say he's not even clicking yet.
He might not even be playing to the level that we all expected him. Live the preseason player of the year, but and the running game hadn't been to the level that we expected with the 2 transfers backs in. So the offense ain't even where it need to be yet, and they still scoring 30 points a game. So that just goes to show you the potential the Graham team has. If they can get the offense to match the level of play the defense been playing at lately, I think they'll be a team that you really got to worry about coming out the West.
Yeah, completely agree.
Oh, that's another good point. Dooley going up against PV again. Oh yeah, you know it.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot about that. I forget about them all of them little
Them
back
little
door.
side, them little side stores.
Yeah. Man, this is I honestly, this is my sneaky good game of the week. Jackson State versus Texas Southern. I know that sounds crazy, but Texas Southern has actually, I mean, they're 1-2, but they've been competitive in just about all their games except for one. They got the Rice game.
Can't lose the food.
They played Lamar, lost by 3 this past weekend. So they go. Well, let's look at the numbers because numbers don't lie. For Texas Southern, averaging 17 points per game, giving up 32.67 or 32.7. Rushing, they're rushing for 142.3, giving up 178.7. Passing, just turn your head, especially if you were used to what they were getting, with the quarterback play they had last year and years prior. But they are passing for a whopping 94.7 yards per game, giving up 162.
I get what you're saying as far as them being competitive.
They're very competitive, and
they've been more
way.
competitive than I thought they would be in the first year. But I've seen Jackson in person, and coming off the loss to Graham, the way they lost to Graham, I don't know if I want to play them right now.
That's fair. That's fair.
Won't have a problem.
Sheesh.
Well then.
Jeez, Mr. Guy staying hard. It says TSU will win and won't have a problem with JSU. I'm not going that far.
That's bold now. Won't have a problem. Wow.
Yeah. Coach Green?
Man?
Well, yeah, I can't go that far. I do think that they are competitive because they are the record and number. They find a way to stay in games.
That's fair.
They find a way, especially I'm looking at the numbers, like you're not passing for much. I mean, running, you're doing well. I ain't even look at what's their time of possession. Time of possession is 33 minutes and 6 seconds. So they find a way to make it ugly and stay in games.
That's why the defense numbers look so good. They keep the ball for half the game.
Yeah. So looking at Jackson State comes in into this game averaging 31.3 points per game. They're only giving up 23.3. And that is skewed because who did Jackson State play?
Nobody.
No, they just played somebody.
Grambling.
No, I'm sorry. ULM, Lane, Lane, Southern, and Grambling. So
I know you ain't putting ULM up there.
I mean,
ULM better this year than they have been. I mean, you can't compare that to teams who playing.
Oh no, I'm not. No.
Florida and
like Prairie View. We talk about Prairie View and stuff, but they did play Michigan State. So
yeah, that's true. But
who else? Jackson State. Rushing for 158.8. Only giving up 103. I said 158. It's 150.8. My bad.
150.8. Yeah.
Passing 238.5 yards through the air, giving up 179.3. They are good for 41.3% on third down. They've gone for it 4 times. On fourth down, they've only picked up 1, so that's 25%. Defensively, they're holding teams to 27.78 percent on third downs. That's really good.
Yeah.
Because especially how many. So 54. They held teams to 54 third downs and have only given up 15. That is crazy. They're 4 of 8, but 4 of 8 on fourth down. But that is crazy. Crazy to think.
That's facts, though. That's facts,
Mhm.
coach. Crazy things happen in the hole, man.
Yeah, they do. Anyway,
But I mean, I can see like Ron say, TSU pulling off Alcorn from last year and beating Jackson State. I just don't think it's gonna happen. But
they had FAMU on the ropes last year, if I'm not mistaken. And FAMU, got going. So I mean, I don't. When I say I think Jackson State wins this game, I just think Texas Southern gonna make it competitive. It's gonna be ugly. I think it's gonna be an ugly game. That's what yeah. No, I don't think I think the Storm too far away from them. But yeah,
we ain't getting nothing over this way from the Storm.
Yeah, we getting it. That's the crazy part about it. Next up, man, Alcorn State at Mississippi Valley State. I'll say this game came at a time when Alcorn needed it most.
I don't even know what to say, man.
Yeah. Alcorn I'm sorry. Alcorn is scoring 13.8 points per game, giving up 36.3 points per game. Now, this Alcorn is a team that I can say that is truly skewed because of who they've played.
They got a murderer's row for a schedule.
They play UAB, Vanderbilt. Of course, they play Edward Waters, so it's skewed it in their favor. And then McNeese State.
Crazy, man.
So yeah, they are 1-3 on the season.
Else.
Yeah, but they play, and I give Alcorn all the respect in the world because they always play a top FCS school or a out of conference FCS school. They'll play Power Fives and give it their, I guess, give their all, or however you want to say, the gusto. But no, respect to them for always going out, playing a little bit more challenging schedule, playing up. Rushing yards, they're rushing for 135.5, giving up 223.5. Passing for 137.5, giving up 165.5. Time possession averaging about 29 minutes, 28 seconds. They're 27% on third down, 50% on fourth down, giving up 42. They're giving up 42.6% on third downs, and also 25% on fourth down. So, but I mean, it's easy to say that again. Look who they played. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. But at the same time, man,
there's some things you look at and you be like, oh, I could take blank from this, or I could take blank from it.
Yeah, I think they you really don't know who Alcorn is right now, man. You know what I mean? Just because of some of the teams they playing Vandy and these bigger schools, and then a non-conference FCS school like that. I mean, once they get in the conference play, I think they'll be more of the Valley the Alcorn that we're used to. But it's just kind of shocking to see them looking the way they look so far this season. You know, they don't look like the same type of Alcorn team we used to, but that could change.
Yeah. On the other side, they got Valley. Valley is averaging 10.8 points per game, giving up 48 and a half. Rushing, averaging 47.8, giving up 258.5. Passing for 183 yards per game, giving up 249.
They can't run the ball, bro,
at all. I don't need to read no more of the stats.
Yeah, you might well just move on to the next game, bro.
Yeah. No disrespect to
No, man.
Valley,
I just think Valley, like we say, they young quarterback, young skill players, man. They just it's growing pains, man. I think their passing game has gotten better this year from what we saw last year, but it's like when they take one step forward, take one step back. Passing game get better, the run game is non-existent. So
yeah.
I think they just still trying to put that program, build that program the way they want it over there under Coach Wade.
Yeah. Next up, man, we're looking at Tennessee State. They welcome in Charleston Southern. Eddie George has got to get something going. Back to losing to Tennessee Tech 2 years in a row is a stain. But I will give him credit for this. Points per game, they're averaging 24.8 points per game. Run the ball for 101.5. Passing for 239.8. On the flip side, they're giving up 31.3, allowing 142 rushing yards per game and giving up 293.8 yards per game passing. They're giving up 42% on third down, or opponents are getting third down conversions 42% of the time, while Tennessee State is only converting third downs 37.5% of the times. So, yeah.
I mean, I think this is a winnable game for Tennessee State.
You got to. It's a must win, in my opinion.
Yeah, Charleston Southern. They lost to Citadel. They just lost last week, 38-0 to Richmond. You know what I mean? I think this, like you said, it's a must win. And on one hand, you know, for the way your season has started, but at the same time, I look at like going forward. This is a kind of a get right game where you kind of get everything back clicking and kind of regain your footing and get ready for the rest of the season so you can finish the season strong, because it could be a linchpin game. If you end up dropping this game, you might drop 3-4 more. You know what I mean? Like, so it's one of those games where, like you say, it's a must win, but I think that they should win. I say it like that. I ain't gonna say they can win. They should win.
I agree. Completely agree.
Man, be safe, Ron. Man, be safe down there in that weather, man.
Yeah, please do. So this is the last game on this side, the D1 side, that we'll talk about. We can look at some of the other. I think the others are like FBS versus HBCU matchups, and I ain't really care for that. Hampton taking on William and Mary. Hampton has been on a roll, and then also just got we talked about their 8th straight win. When we had our guys on HU Powership, Jeff and Big Reek, they talked about initially when Coach Prunty got fired, everybody was kind of, shocked by the timing and everything. But then they also came on here and told us that, hey, believe it or not, I think we got better in coaching, the coach on the staff. I think this team is ready to make a run.
Yeah.
So Hampton comes in averaging 31.3 points per game. They're only giving up 19.5. They are running for 208 yards per game. That is a recipe for success. I gotta go back and look. I got it somewhere with the predictions. I think they told us 5. They're already at 3 right now. And they take on William and Mary.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough one.
Passing for 203.5 yards per game as well. So
It's gonna be a tough one because William and Mary ain't no slouch. They only lost of the season is to Coastal Carolina. Yeah, they lost that one 40-21. They beat Wofford last week. They beat VMI 41-7. I mean, my bad. They beat Furman last week, 34-24. They beat VMI week 1, 41-7. So it ain't gonna be an easy task for Hampton, but Hampton is like you said, they a different team than I think a lot of us thought they would be at this point of the season. Maybe some of us were a little too low on Hampton, and I mean they getting good play from the quarterback. The defense looks a lot better than a lot of us thought that they would look. I mean, I'm impressed, and I admit I was wrong about them this year.
Yeah, Hampton. I'm looking at the bottom of the stats page for the Hampton. They've got the recipe for success. I talked about the yards. Rushing and passing are equivalently equal, or respectively equal, considering 208 and 203 for as far as yardage. Then you look at things like time of possession, 32 minutes and 20 seconds. Third downs, 54.6. Fourth downs, 87.5. They've got 17 red zone trips, 15 scores, 12 of those being touchdowns. So they've got the recipes for success. And then on the flip side, they are giving up third downs and fourth downs kind of a little bit high, 40% and 57%. But they've allowed only 10 trips to the red zone.
Yeah, the defense been pretty good, man.
Yeah, so yeah, it's
gonna be a tough one though. They're gonna have to come to play.
Yeah. So that is it for that side of things. And we got a SIAC Player of the Week. We get that pulled up. This could have been an all Clark Atlanta ordeal here. I'm pulling up the graphic here so we can get these young men their just due acknowledgments. And there we go. Oh, whoa. That ain't going quite as planned. All right, let's do it this way. All right, here we go. Offensive Player of the Week, quarterback from Clark Atlanta, David Wright III. I hate when he does this. Defensive Player of the Week, Sean Johnson, linebacker from Morehouse. I may have been a little unfair and unjust to Morehouse coach Terrence Mathis. Morehouse, this is the second week in a row that one of their defensive players has been Player of the Week.
Yeah.
So, special teams, of course. Kicker from Clark Atlanta, Leonardo Cabrera. And then newcomer of the week for the second week in a row is a Benedict player, Malachi Jones, wide receiver, freshman wide receiver. So these are SIAC players of the week. All right, let's get to, I'm just kind of breeze through some of these games that we got for this weekend on the SIAC and CIAA. Miles takes on Allen. Last year I was very excited for this one. Not so much this year. Yeah. Yep. Last year I would have been. I still like Miles in this game. Like Miles, period. I just don't have them win the SIAC anymore because that has been basically that spot has been, at least for me, has been taken over by none other than Clark Atlanta, who takes on Lane this weekend.
So you was just following. So you was just following the coach.
No, I had
I was just playing, man.
Miles. You know, I had Miles.
No, I'm saying you said you went from Miles Allen to Clark Atlanta.
Oh yeah.
Teddy Keaton.
There you go. Who has been phenomenal. We're gonna let me get through announcing these games. I got a conversation for you. Something real quick. Benedict takes on Morehouse this weekend. I think that was an interesting one. Sneaky good game. For SIAC. Fort Valley State versus Savannah State. Who Savannah State's just coming off a big win over Tuskegee this past weekend. So looking forward to that. Fort Valley State, who's still they've actually a lot of people kind of fell off on them because of how good Johnson C. Smith has been doing. So anyway, I'm sorry, not Johnson C. Smith. How good Clark Atlanta has been doing. So a lot of people fell off Fort Valley State being in the SIAC.
Close loss last week for Fort Valley State to Delta State over in Cleveland, Mississippi, too.
Yeah. Bowie State takes on Winston-Salem State. That's gonna be a good one. That's actually the only, in my opinion, decent looking CIAA game this weekend. All the rest are pretty much, at least
Charlotte, Virginia Union, maybe.
Nah, that's gonna be lopsided. Virginia Union, Livingstone, Lincoln, PA.
Fayetteville State, Virginia State.
That one could be pretty good. Fayetteville State versus Virginia State. Virginia State is just kind of, I don't know. They Winston-Salem got the upset on them last week, and then Johnson C. Smith versus Bluefield State, which is I guess you virtuoso rivalry game.
Yeah, but we all know how that one gonna play out most likely.
Yeah. Last, man, I mentioned my bad. I was trying to get this stuff typed in. I mentioned that I had a conversation I want to talk about. Of course, the title of this episode was Making Some Noise, and I had Mickey Joseph, Teddy Keaton, and Maurice Flowers on there. Those are three coaches that have done phenomenal jobs this year. I think they are a lot better than that, like everybody thought. As far as the team, their teams are performing a lot better than a lot of us thought they would. Teddy Keaton at Clark Atlanta is a huge surprise for me. I knew what kind of coach he was because I saw what he was doing at Allen. But with him going to Clark Atlanta, I thought it'd take a little bit more to probably another year or so before he's actually really competitive, and he's doing it now.
Yeah, I think you're starting to see why he was so coveted during the coaching cycle last season. He's got that offense humming, bro. I mean, we talked about quarterback David Wright the third. He's looked phenomenal, man. That comeback win versus Bethune, he was incredible, and they're explosive on offense with the athletes that they got. They're gonna put up points on you, and I think that they being in Atlanta also being able to get some of the talent he's gonna be able to get there, man. I think they might be a sleeping giant. They're starting to wake up a little bit.
I think he's probably the next coach called up from D2
Yeah, I think so.
to D1. Also, Maurice Flowers and what he's been able to do this year at Johnson C. Smith. Yeah, I mean, I'm pulling it up now. They have been outstanding. God, I hate when these.
I mean, they 4-0.
Yeah,
and
there we go.
And then we talking about wins over Tuskegee and Morehouse, and impressive wins over Morehouse, and Lincoln, PA beat them by 46.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they just look like they on a different level than the competition now.
Got the win last weekend versus Virginia Union.
Yep.
And I'm gonna be honest, that Morehouse win looks a little bit more impressive now because Morehouse been doing, like I said, when I said Morehouse is done better than expected. Like,
yeah, and that's what I'm saying. The way they beat Morehouse, it wasn't like they squeaked by them.
Yeah, Morehouse. Now I know some people gonna hear that and be like, "What? They're 1-3." I get it. They are 1-3, but Morehouse has played. They've actually produced on field. They look a little bit more competitive. When you've got back-to-back weeks, defensive players of the week, 2 different players. Like I said, it's looking more and more impressive.
Yeah.
And for Morehouse to look like that and Johnson C. Smith to beat them by 24 speaks well, bodes well for Coach Maurice Flowers. And then last but not least, man, Mickey Joseph. What he's doing at Grambling. I want everybody to know this is I can't say that. I was going to say this is the same team. It's not. This is a team that he inherited from Hugh Jackson. Everybody talked about the talent that was on the defense, but they underachieved. This year, this defense, they're giving up yards, but they definitely holding people down with the turnovers, with their just intensity. It's just Grambling looks a lot better.
Well, I think
this year,
if you talk to anybody around the program, I think the thing that they say is the main difference is the culture. It started in the locker room and in the camp and many, training camp and all that, and you just seeing the results of that now. He changed the mentality and the mindset of the program. And you can see all the guys are bought in and they playing for one another. They playing for their coaching staff, and it's the results are paying off. I think he's brought in an influx of talent to that team. We talked about the running backs that they brought in. They brought in some guys on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, they brought in an influx of talent, but at the same time, some of the guys who remain from the last regime, I feel like they're playing at a different level because there's better. I ain't gonna say there's better coaches, but there's more emphasis on certain things, and it's more of a teaching coaching staff, I think, than what was there in the past.
Yeah. I think one thing that, and we mentioned it when you talk about Monday night when Zach talked about North Carolina A&T, he said one of the biggest key things you have to do is to when you're a new coach, get coordinators. I think what Mickey Joseph did, getting Eric Dooley, who I know a lot of people have problems with, his stints at Prairie View and Southern and stuff, but when he has been the offensive coordinator, those teams have won. And then he also got Jason Rollins. What Coach Rollins has been able to do with this defense defensively. first year at UTSA, 78 tackles for loss, 23 sacks, 19 turnovers, 10 fumble recoveries. That sounds familiar. That sounds very familiar for what we're seeing right now. That was at UTSA, but what we're seeing right now, he has 15 turnovers already.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's amazing what you can do when you got good coordinators. And I think Mickey Joseph won, like you said, in the offseason when it started, who he picked as his coordinators.
Yeah, and keeping Miles Crowley, you know what I mean, was huge. Is we all know that a lot of these games comes down to who's got the best signal caller, and when you got Miles Crowley breaking your huddle, then majority of the time you're gonna have the best quarterback in the game. You know, when you look at your schedule, most of the games you have the best quarterback, so you give yourself a good chance to win the ball game just right there. Now could that kind of play call to more of his skill set? Sure, but I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? I mean, the offense has been working well so far as points on the board, but I think it could be a little crisper. I think it could be cleaned up a little bit, be more efficient, and I think we'll start to see that as the season goes on.
Yeah. As we get ready to close out, man, I do want to shout out. Hold on 1 second. My bad. What I was saying, as we close out, do want to give a big shout out to some of those guys who've already been called up or got selected for the HBCU Legacy Bowl. And this is kind of in reverse order, meaning latest to earliest invitees. But you got Kendall Bolden from FAMU. You got Kenny Gallup Jr. from Howard. And then the first two, Miles Crawley from Grambling and Jada Byers from Virginia Union. Those are guys who've received invites thus far. So it's just, shout out to them. And hopefully some of those guys will get calls to the Senior Bowl as well, or the East-West Shrine game. So, but anywho, man, you got anything else before we get ready to get up out of here?
Nah, man, I'm finna go finish watching this game.
Yes, sir.
Oh, he got popped.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, appreciate y'all for tuning in. We'll be back on Monday to talk about these games, see who did what, when, well. But until then, like that, we out. This show was presented by betonline.ag.
Bring me my money.